Welcome to the Commanders Report Mailbag. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and I love doing these segments every week with you guys because you guys tell me what you want me to talk about. Instead of me guessing what you guys want to hear, you guys ask me directly, and I love having that two-way conversation with you guys. So if you want to get a question on a future Commanders Report Mailbag, you have to be there for our live shows every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now and turn on your notifications so you guys can get questions on the show in the future. And with that, I'll pause and open it up for questions. First one comes to us from my man Eugene, who says, could linebacker Jordan McGee be a sleeper hit for the Washington Commanders? Saw an article about him recently. I like Jordan McGee, man. He's an extremely smart player. Now, he's undersized. So, will he be able to ever be a 3-down starter? Maybe not. But he's an undersized guy that's really good in coverage. He's really, really smart, and he's a really solid tackler. I think he was one of the better football players in this year's linebacking class out of Temple. He was a team captain there, and I think that he's going to be coming in here. He's worked extremely hard, and I think he could even carve himself out a role as a coverage linebacker on third downs. I really like him. He might be a little undersized, so maybe he can't be an every down guy, but he reminds me a little bit of like a Nakobe Dean, if you remember him coming out of Georgia. He's smaller, but he's excellent. He's smart, really good football player. So I really like Jordan McGee, man. Let me go on from Anderson Mills. Says, what is the latest surrounding Brandon Aiyuk? Is there any chance the Commanders could still get a deal done? It's not impossible. San Francisco GM John Lynch said there's no absolutes to Brandon being on the roster this year, but they did say that they want him. And all these different things. And Brandon is at training camp right now in San Francisco. He's not participating in practices because he's holding in. But it's going to be an interesting situation, man. If Brandon straight up tells them, I'm not playing unless I'm on a new deal this year, that's when things get a little bit hairy. I could certainly see Brandon signing a restructured contract where he still remains on the team for one season, but he gets a pay raise. I could see that happening. But they also have issues with Trent Williams right now, who wants more money. So it's definitely an interesting situation there in San Francisco. If he is traded, I would probably put the Commanders near the top of the list of teams that could go get him. You'd probably have to trade Jahan Dotson and probably at least a second-round pick along with him to get him on your team. Plus, you have to pay him $30 million a year. It's a hefty price. But if you're going to pay that much for a receiver, why not spend it on a guy that is literally best friends with your new quarterback in Jayden Daniels, right? So I think that this is something that could maybe happen, but if you ask me, I think Aiyuk will be playing for the Niners this year. So is it over? Let me know down there in the comments section. What is the % chance that Brandon Aiyuk is a Commander this year? Put it on a scale of 0 to 100. 0 meaning no chance he's a Commander, to 100 meaning it's happening. Let me know what you guys have to say down there in the comments section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. I'm going from King Hypno. What's up, my friend? Says, who will be the team's MVP this year? Not allowed to say Daniels, LOL. It has to be a player, I'm guessing, so I can't say Dan Quinn, because I think Dan Quinn's impact on this team is going to be massive. But if I have to pick one player that's really going to play well this year that's not Daniels, give me Scary Terry McLaurin, man. I think that this is the first time in his entire career where he's going to have a half-decent quarterback throwing him the football. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he is a bona fide top 10 receiver in terms of overall production this year. I think a lot of people, underestimate Terry at this point in his career. So I really do believe in him. I think he's going to have a really good season this year with Jayden throwing him the football. So best player on the Commanders this year, not named Daniels. Give me Scary Terry McLaurin. And the guy that's throwing him that football this year is Jayden Daniels. And if you want to get his officially licensed Commanders jersey today, you can go to chatsports.com/Daniels to pick up a brand new Jayden Daniels Commanders jersey at a great price. And also, when you use our link, chatsports.com/Daniels, I'll put that link in the comments and description of today's show. And you make a purchase, Fanatics is going to send us part of the proceeds here so we can make more free content for you guys right here on the Commanders Report. So if you're planning on getting a Jayden Daniels jersey regardless and you want to help out the channel, go to chatsports.com/Daniels and pick up your jersey today. Got one from Jasmine Gray. What's up, Jasmine? Says, I have a question for you. What is our top 10 defense? What is our... Is she asking, is the defensive line top 10? Well, Jasmine, I think it depends on how effective the linebackers are going to be. Jamin Davis, Frankie Louvu, and Bobby Wagner, all three of those guys are some of the best blitzing linebackers in football. So what does that tell me? That tells me that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr., they're going to blitz the hell out of opposing offenses. And, they get a guy like Cleveland Ferrell, who's not much of a pass rusher. He's more of a run defender. That tells me that they're going to really rely on these linebackers to rush the passer along with Dorrance Armstrong. And then, of course, you've got the great guys on the interior in Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen that can certainly get after quarterbacks as well. So I think that in terms of a top 10 pass rush, I actually think the Commanders will have a top 10 pass rush this year. Not sure if they'll get into the top 5 range, but I think that, with all the multiple fronts, with all the creative things that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. are bringing to the table here, along with the talent that they have brought in and have retained on this defensive line, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen this year. It's going to be blitz heavy. It's going to be simulated pressures. It's going to be creative, and I am here for it, all right? I am absolutely here for it. Then we go on from Mike Baum, says, which player has impressed you the most at Commanders practices so far? Jayden Daniels has been the one that has impressed me the most overall, just because he's a rookie, and the fact that he's a quarterback and he's already playing as well as he is, super impressive. But I would say the surprise person that has impressed me the most is Emmanuel Forbes. Now, maybe he shouldn't be surprising me because he's a former first-round pick, but he played so bad last year and he's still so skinny that I was worried heading into training camp. But at practices, man, he's holding his own. He's looking like a number 1 corner to me. And I'm extremely, extremely excited to see what he's going to look like this year in burgundy and gold. So when it comes to Jayden Daniels, let me know down there in the comment section, who's going to start week 1? I mean, I think it's definitely going to be Jayden, especially the way he's playing. But I know Marcus Mariota has the supporters out there, so I want to see the ratio out there. Jayden Daniels, type JD or MM for Marcus Mariota. Let me know what you guys are thinking down there in the comments. Then we got on from Alex Moran, says, what should we expect? When should we expect this team to contend? So by contend, I'm guessing Alex means for a Super Bowl. I think as early as not this season, but next season. So the 2025 season is when I think this team could really get going. Because what I think GM Adam Peters is doing right now is, if you guys didn't know, the Commanders have a ton of available cap space for this year. So a lot of people are like, why don't we spend some of that money? Well, I think it's because Adam Peters is going to roll over a lot of that cap space into next season so that they can spend another fortune on free agents while Jayden Daniels and Dan Quinn head into their second years. And I think that's the year where Jayden becomes a legit MVP candidate. I think that's when Dan Quinn's culture is officially set in stone. And if you can have $100 million at your disposal in free agency again next year to replenish this roster with more talent, I think that's going to be really, really good for this team next year. So I think that's what they're going to do. And I think by the 2025, this team is going to be ready to rock. Then we go on from Troy Apple, who says, where would you rank Dan Quinn among NFL head coaches right now? I love Danny, man. I love DQ. I thought he was a really good hire. If you're going to get a defensive guy, I wanted a culture builder type guy, and that's Dan Quinn for sure, dude. You can see the energy on the field. You can see the energy in the building. You can tell there's a lot of buy-in right now, and you can tell he's got the right mentality. So he has to prove it. Obviously, he's a guy that's been formally fired in this league, right? He lost a, what was it, Koopa, 28-3 Super Bowl there against Tom Brady. That's an all-time choke job, but I'd probably rank him somewhere around league average, around 15 or so, and by the end of the season, he could easily be in the top 10, if not the top 5, if he can get this team to overperform. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Where does Dan Quinn rank among NFL head coaches? I'll put him at about 15 right now just because, there's a lot of unknowns surrounding the Commanders. He's a first-year head coach here, but I think he could rise up those ranks really quickly. Let me know what you guys think about DQ down there in the comments. That'll be it for this week's mailbag. Thank you to everybody that submitted questions on this Commanders Report live show. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And join us 5 p.m. Eastern Time every single week on Thursdays to catch our Commanders Report live shows.